is OTR FM, part of the ION Radio Network.
IPMNation.com.
Did Bernie really go negative, or is Hillary just panicking? It is Thursday, February 4th, 2016, just after 11 p.m. Eastern. From the Uptown Auto Repair Studio, Matt Connarton Unleashed starts right now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It's Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're live on IPM Nation 1 and, of course, OTR FM, the premium channel on OMTimes Radio. Matt Connarton Unleashed, of course, we're 5 nights a week at 11 p.m. Eastern on IPM Nation 1. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, we also have the honor and privilege of being carried on OTR FM. And there's the television edition of Unleashed, which you can see every Wednesday. This week's television edition is up, so if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, please do. We had political presidential candidate Vermin Supreme, that's what I was trying to say, the great Vermin Supreme on with us this week on the television edition, along with John Hopwood, Bonnie Wright, and myself. It was a lot of fun. Actually, I would also encourage you to if you want to see it, check out Ward 13 with John Hopwood. We did that show yesterday at 1 p.m. and then Vermin Supreme joins us in about the last 20 minutes of John's show, and then we just carried the whole thing over into my show. So you can check out both Ward 13 and this week's Matt Connarton Unleashed television edition. They are up and available right now on the IPM Nation YouTube page. And you can check those. Not right now. I mean, I don't want you to. I mean, they're there right now, but stay with me for now, and then you can watch that after, or watch those after. You can view them at your leisure. But we are, of course, broadcasting from the Uptown Auto Repair Studio in glorious Manchester, New Hampshire, broadcasting to the world. And of course, the IPM Nation live station is powered by Ambit Energy. Find out how you can save on your energy bills. It's easier than you think, and you can save quite a bit. If you go to ipmnation.ambitrabbit.com, that's ipmnation.ambitrabbit.com, you can sign up there and find out more and sign up, I should say. I guess that would be the correct order. But you'll be very glad you did, and I know from personal experience. So it's not just, it's not I'm just being paid to say that. It is the absolute truth. I can testify to such. You really can save quite a bit of money. So check it out, ipmnation.ambitrabbit.com. And it is debate night. Surprise. This one almost, kind of under the radar, this debate. It's down to just Bernie and Hillary. But the reason this one, I say, was kind of under the radar is it wasn't originally sanctioned by the Democratic National Committee and Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who runs the DNC. If you recall, because we have been talking about it on the show, this debate was not on the schedule. The DNC have been scheduling debates typically on, there were a couple in a row that were on a Saturday night. There was another one that was on a Sunday night on Martin Luther King weekend, on a holiday weekend, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz taking a lot of criticism for scheduling these debates at times when they would get pretty low viewership. And, because, putting a debate on a Saturday night or a Sunday night, of a holiday weekend, young people are less likely to be watching, and it seems to be young people that are the most drawn to Bernie Sanders. So pretty transparent what Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been trying to do. The idea clearly is to protect Hillary. So this debate, and this was good to see. What happened is MSNBC teamed up with the Manchester Union Leader, the newspaper here in Manchester, New Hampshire, which is influential and important in these matters because, of course, we have the first in the nation primary. And they pressured the candidates directly. They went around the DNC and pressured the candidates directly to participate because, the Union Leader had been cut out of the process, and MSNBC wanted to do a debate moderated by Rachel Maddow. She's pretty much the big star there. So they went around the DNC and went right to the candidates, right to the campaigns, and said, "Will you do this?" And initially, Martin O'Malley, of course, was the first to sign on. He of course jumped at the chance, but then didn't participate tonight because between him agreeing to participate in the debate and the debate happening, a little thing called the Iowa caucus occurred, and like a lot of candidates, he dropped out right after Iowa. He took his 0.6% and went home. So Hillary had said that she would participate if Bernie agreed to participate, and then Bernie agreed to participate, and there you go. So that happened tonight. I believe that the DNC did end up sanctioning the debate in the end to try to kind of save face. But I'll tell you, this is, the media takes a lot of criticism for a lot of reasons. Some of it valid, absolutely. Some of it questionable. But this is a case where I have to say, I think the media did something very good, very positive by by publicly pressuring these candidates to participate in another debate when there wasn't going to be another debate. But there was no debate originally scheduled between the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary. And to see a couple of media properties like MSNBC and the Union Leader to stand up and say, wait a minute, there should be a debate, but it's the first in the nation primary. There should be a debate for New Hampshire before the primary. And they publicly pressured these candidates and made their case, and against the wishes of the Democratic National Committee, the campaigns had to give in. They had to acquiesce and say, okay, we'll debate. And I think that's fantastic. So very impressed that they were able to make this happen, the Union Leader and MSNBC. And the debate, it's probably done by now. Now, I did not get to see the debate tonight. Thursday nights are pretty busy around here at the Uptown Auto Repair Studio, and I was on the Dr. Kevin show earlier, which, of course, the first Thursday of every month, we have Thirsty Thursdays, where I participate in that with Dr. Kevin on his show. And then after that, of course, we had Liberty Walk, which is hosted by Jen Coffey and Jen Wells. And they had a great guest, by the way, Elizabeth Edwards, a state legislator from here in New Hampshire. There's this bill to decriminalize prostitution. And but if you want to, and by the way, that was a great show. I would suggest checking that out. It's up at ipmnation.com/Liberty Walk. Very interesting discussion. And if you listen to it, if you listen to the show and Jen and Jen's conversation with Elizabeth Edwards, you'll definitely learn some things. Some surprising facts came out of that. So check that out. But so busy night. So I'm going to watch the debate, or actually listen to the debate, while I do my other work as soon as I wrap up this program tonight. But I do have some early audio to play and comment on, and I have not had a chance to pre-listen to any of this audio. But it sounds like Bernie went on the attack. It sounds like tonight's debate has been full of fireworks. And, I think back to 2008 when Hillary Clinton was running for president, and it came down to just her and a young first-term senator from the state of Illinois, Barack Obama. And it was very interesting how they had quite a few debates. And they would swing wildly between being very cordial and friendly to being kind of nasty and combative. And it was interesting to see Hillary kind of go through that and to see how she was reacting to, because just like now, back in 2008, she figured she had it in the bag. And then, all of a sudden she's threatened by an unlikely threat. I mean, one would assume that after what happened in 2008, she wouldn't take Bernie Sanders lightly, but perhaps she has. And it looks like from the early reporting, and we will play some audio when we get back from the break, but it looks like tonight got nasty, and she went on the attack and accused Bernie of going negative. But did he go negative? Has he gone negative, or is she just panicking? And we all know what it looks like. Everybody who remembers 2008 remembers what it looks like when Hillary Clinton panics. So what we'll do is we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will play some of this audio. I will take your calls if anyone wants to chime in. I'll give the number right now, 617-917-4IPM. That's IPM as in IPM Nation, 617-917-4IPM, or 617-917-4476 if you prefer. And, of course, you can call or text us at that number. We have the chat room at IPMNation.com/live1. You can also send me a tweet anytime at Matt Connarton. And, of course, you can post on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. And if you do so during the show, we will include your comments in the conversation. So we're going to take a break. We are live on IPM Nation 1 and OTR FM. And we got plenty to get to tonight. Stay with me. We will be right back.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on OMTimes Radio, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're live. Matt Connarton Unleashed on this Thursday night, another debate night. And looking forward to playing some of this audio since I did not get a chance to watch the debate live. I am going to play some audio from the debate and kind of analyze it. A couple clips here. Looks like things got pretty aggressive. So let's take a listen to this. This is about 3 minutes long, and this is so far from what I've seen online, this seems to be the clip that everybody is talking about from the debate. So let's take a listen to this. This will be interesting.
Going through, exemplified by these promises that would raise taxes and make it much more difficult for many, many Americans to get ahead and stay ahead. That is not my agenda.
Senator Sanders wants 30 seconds to respond to that.
What being part of the establishment is in the last quarter having a super PAC that raised $15 million from Wall Street, that throughout one's life raised a whole lot of money from the drug companies and other special interests.
He's right.
To my mind, if we do not get a handle on money in politics and the degree to which big money controls the political process in this country, nobody is going to bring about the changes that is needed in this country for the middle class and working families.
Yeah, but I think it's fair to really ask what's behind that comment. You know, Senator Sanders has said he wants to run a positive campaign. I've tried to keep my disagreements over issues, as it should be. But time and time again, by innuendo, by insinuation, there is this attack that he is putting forth, which really comes down to, you know, anybody who ever took donations or speaking fees from any interest group has to be bought. And I just absolutely reject that, Senator. And I really don't think these kinds of attacks by insinuation are worthy of you. And enough is enough. If you've got something to say, say it directly. But you will not find that I ever changed a view or a vote because of any donation that I ever received. And I have stood up and I have represented my constituents to the best of my ability, and I'm very proud of that. You know, so I think it's time to end the very artful smear that you and your campaign have been carrying out in recent weeks. And let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about the issues that divide us.
Okay, let's talk
we
about
both
issues.
Agree with campaign finance reform.
Let's talk about issues.
I worked hard for McCain-Feingold. I want to reverse Citizens United.
Hang on. I have to stop this for a second. Wow. This got mean, and she is pissed. She is angry. Like, I have not seen this from her during a debate. And I remember in 2008, and by the way, there's more to this clip. We'll hear the rest of it in a second, but I just got to say, I mean, I remember some of the takedowns that she attempted on Obama in those debates in 2008, and they were a little clumsy and a little desperate. But I don't remember seeing the kind of anger that I'm seeing out of her here. She is really angry, and she is panicking. She is clearly in panic mode, because she does not. Up until now, I noticed in the last debate the tone had changed a little bit, but for the most part during these debates, she has been confident, she's been poised, and very, very smooth, and came across as being very in control of the situation, confident that she was in control of the facts and whatnot. But she seems like she's panicking right here, and like she's really worried. And the way she says to him, and I was laughing because when she says to him, look, if you've got something to say, say it, you know, and that's why you might have heard me kind of mumble into the mic. Yeah, don't tempt him, because I think he's about to. All right, let's get back to this. This is good stuff. I can't wait to watch this whole thing later. All right, here we go.
So let's talk about issues.
Let's talk about issues.
Let's talk about issues. All right, let's talk about why in the 1990s Wall Street got deregulated. Did it have anything to do with the fact that Wall Street spent billions of dollars on lobbying and campaign contributions? Well, some people might think, yeah, that had some influence. Let's ask why it is that we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, and your medicine can be doubled tomorrow, and there's...
Okay, so, and that's the end of that clip. But, wow. Is she, when she says to him, and I mean, I guess she handled this part okay, but when she said to him, you know, you keep insinuating that, you know, one can be, that any politician who's ever taken a donation has been bought. And I challenge you to, how did she say it? I challenge you to find one instance where I've changed a vote because of a donation and whatnot. Well, that's kind of a weak defense. I mean, I can see, I mean, the crowd applauded that, responded very favorably to what she was saying there. But the problem is, if you think about it logically, well, no, you're not going to find an instance where she changed a vote because of a donation, because that's not exactly how it works. These people already know they're not bought, well, somewhat. They're not bought entirely, let me put it that way, when they're already in office. They're bought on the way there. They're bought during the campaigns. That's what happened with Obama, for example. In 2008, when Wall Street and the banking lobby realized, because they'd already bought Hillary and Hillary was losing. So what did they do? They bought Obama. And that's why Obama's administration, if you look at who was handling, you know, people like Tim Geithner, for example, and what's his name? Lawrence Summers, you know, people who had been part of that, people who had been part of the machine of Wall Street, of the banking sector. These are people who ended up in charge of our economy under Barack Obama. That's not a coincidence. They bought Obama on his way, not when he was already president, on his way to the presidency. So when Hillary says, it's pretty disingenuous, if you think about it logically, when Hillary says, well, you can't find a single example of where I've changed a vote because of a donation. Well, how would you prove that? Because, no, she probably hasn't changed a vote because of a donation, because she already knew how she was going to vote based on the donation she'd been given. Again, you're bought on the way there, not when you're already there. To some extent when you're already there, because then you have to pay for your re-election campaign. But I want to, you know what, I'm going to play some of that.
Going through, exemplified by these promises
really
that would raise down to, you know, anybody who ever took donations or speaking fees from any interest group has to be bought. And I just absolutely reject that, Senator. And I really don't think these kinds of attacks by insinuation are worthy of you. And enough is enough. If you've got something to say, say it directly. But you will not find that I ever changed a view or a vote because of any donation that I ever received. And I have stood up and I have represented my constituents to the best of my ability, and I'm very proud of that. You know, so I think it's time to end the very artful smear that you and your campaign have been carrying out in recent weeks. And let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about the issues.
You know, if you notice too, he kind of smiles and laughs when she talks about this. You know, it's time to end this artful smear, and he's just kind of like, he's like, you got to be kidding. I'm just telling the truth over here. Because that's the thing. You know, again, I'm not a Bernie Sanders supporter in the sense that I'm not a socialist. But I am, however, there are things that I like about him. I think he's sincere. I think he's basically honest. And I think that, he is in the unique position to tell the truth in a way that others don't, because he's been able to galvanize people and get all these small donations from millions of people instead of taking the big money. That frees him up to say that he can say, well, look, this is how it really works in politics, and everybody's basically bought and paid for. So he can sort of get away with that, and Hillary can't, because she's one of the people who's bought and paid for. So what we'll do is, I went a little long with that. We're gonna come up against another break in a moment, but there's some more. Let's see. I think there's some more audio here that I can play. There was something here. Yeah, there's another clip I want to play when we come back that I think will be illuminating, and then we'll maybe we'll try to move on to some other stuff. I don't know, but the New Hampshire primary is next week, so we're counting down, and I'm pretty sure Bernie's going to win the New Hampshire primary, but it's not going to matter ultimately going on to South Carolina, but because she's probably going to win South Carolina, and that will be the beginning of the end of the Bernie Sanders campaign. But this is great stuff. I want to see more interactions like this. So we'll play another clip when we come back of tonight's debate. Here on Matt Connarton Unleashed, we're live on OTR FM and IPM Nation 1. You can enter the conversation, by the way, at 617-917-4476. And I'll talk to you again in about 2 minutes. Don't go away.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness and action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Welcome back, everybody. Matt Connarton Unleashed. It is Thursday night. It's debate night for the Dems. As promised, I'm going to play some more audio because, like I said, I didn't get a chance to see the debate live. So I am. You can. Let's see. Let's see what this clip here. Yeah, it's a little under 2 minutes.
There is no disagreement between us on universal coverage for health care. The disagreement is, where do we start from and where do we end up? The Republicans want to repeal the Affordable Care Act. I want to improve it. I want to build on it, get the costs down, get prescription drug costs down. Senator Sanders wants us to start all over again. This was a major achievement of President Obama, of our country. It is helping people right now. I am not going to wait and have this plunge back into a contentious national debate that has very little chance of succeeding. Okay. Let's make the Affordable Care Act work for everybody.
Listen, Chuck, this is a good discussion here.
Yes,
and let me just say this, as Secretary Clinton may know, I am on the Health Education Labor Committee. That committee wrote the Affordable Care Act. The idea that I would dismantle health care in America while we're waiting to pass a Medicare for all is just not.
I have to stop this again for a second. Even, I mentioned earlier how Hillary's demeanor has changed over the course of these debates. Even her facial expressions are different. She is giving him the death look, like she really, that expression, if looks could kill. She really, she is just looking at him like, it's my turn. It's finally my turn to be president. Stop screwing this up for me. She glares at him when he is speaking. She glares at him with contempt. And that's a mistake. I'm telling you, this is she does not have the same political gifts that her husband does in many ways. And one of them is she doesn't have the discipline to not look angry when it would be a good idea to not look angry. The way she presented herself early in the debates was like she was kind of above it all. Like these other candidates were just kind of a little bit of a nuisance, but come on, we all know she's going to be the nominee. And she was there to just kind of go through the process and whatnot. But I think that the best way for her to not give Bernie Sanders the kind of credibility that she doesn't want him to have would be to have continued to act that way and be very nice and pleasant and just say, well, we disagree and I'm going to state my case and I'm going to stick to my guns on this and he can say what he wants. But instead, she's just so visually, again, even just her facial expressions, let alone her tone, you can just see it. Like she is pissed off and all she wants is for him to get out of the way. Like she's looking at him like, get out of my way, old man. This is my time. Not that she's any spring chicken herself, but although Bernie, who is 5 or 6 years older than Hillary, I think he's got a certain energy about him that she doesn't have. So just an observation. Anyway, all right. Back to this clip about healthcare.
Accurate. The Affordable Care Act has clearly, as Secretary Clinton made the point, done a lot of good things. But what it has not done is dealt with the fact that we have 29 million people today who have zero health insurance. We have even more who are underinsured with large deductibles and co-payments, and prescription drug prices are off the wall. So I do believe that in the future, not by dismantling what we have here, I helped write that bill, but by moving forward, rallying the American people, I do believe we should have health care for all.
All right. Let's see. There's some debate highlights here. Let's go through these quickly. This is courtesy of AOL. They kind of broke down some updates here. Just some key moments. Let's see. At 10:35 p.m., says Chuck Todd asked Clinton about whether or not she was worried that the email crisis may become an Achilles heel for her, noting that voters in New Hampshire say they worry the scandal is hurting her polling numbers. Clinton responds by insisting, quote, before it was emails, it was Benghazi, unquote. Ooh. Is that really the best response? I get the point of what she's saying there. In other words, what she's trying to put across is, well, yeah, before people worried that this was going to hurt me in the campaign, it was Benghazi, and people worried about that. And I know that's the point she's trying to make, but in the course of trying to make that point, it's like you could easily take that as, I mean, that's going to show up in a campaign ad against her. You could basically take that of, hey, before it was this scandal, it was a different scandal. You know, that wasn't very artful. Let's see. She then turned to talk about the recent news that Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell were also caught up in a similar problem in which information they emailed about was classified after the fact. Quote, I have absolutely no concerns about it whatsoever, unquote. Yeah, she should have just said that. I have no concerns about it. But this before was emails, it was Benghazi. That you could kind of take that a couple different ways. And let's see. At 10:11 p.m., Clinton, Sanders, and moderators. These are in reverse order, by the way, if you didn't figure that out. Going back in time, like Huey Lewis and the News. Remember that song? Back in Time from Back to the... never mind. All right. Clinton, Sanders, and moderators tussle over foreign policy, with Clinton reviving her 3 a.m. call attack with a comment about how, quote, you never know what's going to come through the door, unquote, as president. Sanders lobs back, knocking her over her vote to authorize the Iraq war compared to his vote against it. She follows up with a quip about how, quote, a vote in 2002 is not a plan to defeat ISIS, unquote. That's a good line. I mean, it's empty rhetoric, but I can see, I assume people applauded that, Hillary supporters. 9:43 p.m., Sanders took on the banks, arguing that they should be broken up. Quote, if Teddy Roosevelt were alive today, what would he say? Break them up, unquote, Sanders said. Clinton counters by insisting Dodd-Frank helps to protect against the troubles that the banks could cause. Yeah, there's a... I feel like I get in over my head with that stuff, so I won't say much, but I do know there's a lot of people who think Dodd-Frank did more harm than good. 9:29 p.m., fireworks started, and the crowd eventually erupted into a series of boos and cheers after Sanders lobbed thinly veiled criticism at Clinton for taking money. Okay, that's the clip we played earlier. 9:21 p.m., moderator Rachel Maddow pointedly asked Sanders how he can be a Democrat given that he has been an independent for decades in the Senate, which he bluntly responded to by pointing out that he has for years caucused with the Democrats in the Senate and even been elected to serve as a committee chair by Democrats. He also said he wants to see the Democratic Party change and open itself up. That's a good answer. 9:15 p.m., Clinton countered criticism she has received from Sanders and his supporters who question her progressive credentials, saying that by his standard, President Obama does not count as a progressive, and suggesting that by another standard, Sanders' decision to vote against the gun control Brady bill isn't necessarily progressive. Interesting. 9:11 p.m., Clinton and Sanders battled over health care. Okay, that's the clip we just heard. 9:03 p.m., so this was when the debate started. Sanders kicks off the night decrying America's rigged economy. Clinton counters in her statement, focusing on a broader range of issues, including economic and racial disparities, and vowing to not make promises that she cannot keep. Well, they all make promises they can't keep. And let's see. On Politico, they posted the 8 most important moments of the Dem debate so far. So this was while the debate was still in progress. Let's go through these. Number 1, progressives and progress. Well, we already talked about that. Number 2, Clinton plays the Vermont card. After Sanders mounted a lengthy defense of his Democratic credentials, he's been unaffiliated with the party for most of his political career. Clinton went for the jugular, noting that many of Sanders' Democratic colleagues in Vermont had endorsed her campaign. She said, quote, former Governor Howard Dean, who's with us tonight, so many elected Vermonters, 2 former governors, the current governor, the current other senator. I really appreciate that, unquote. Ooh, that hurts. Sanders replied by including all of them. Well, this is a good defense. Sanders replied by including all of them as part of the establishment, along with other governors and elected officials. Quote, she has the entire establishment or almost the entire establishment behind them, unquote. But he also said, that's a fact. I don't deny it, unquote. Let's see. The very artful smear. We already covered that. And also take 2 on speaking fees. Number 5, the business model of Wall Street. Yeah, that kind of all goes together. Number 6, they tussled over the war in Iraq, which we talked about. Number 7, asked about the razor-close Iowa caucus on Monday. Sanders shrugged off the narrow lead for Clinton. He said, you have 22 delegates, I have 20 delegates. We need 2,500 delegates to win the nomination. So this is not the biggest deal in the world, unquote. Let's see, number 8, Clinton 100% confident emails won't drag her down. That is the that's what we talked about earlier, where she said, well, before this it was Benghazi. So anyway, yeah, sounds like it was a pretty good debate. I will I look forward to watching that. We'll finish up tonight in the final segment with something else. I'm not sure quite yet where we're going. I have an idea, but I'll figure it out during the break, and I'll be ready for when we come back. So you be ready, and we will be right back. We are live on IPM Nation 1 and OTR FM tonight on Matt Connarton Unleashed. Don't go away. More to come.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're live as we cruise into our final segment tonight here on IPM Nation 1 and OTR FM. Don't forget, you can hear Unleashed 5 nights a week at 11 p.m. Eastern on IPM Nation 1. And, of course, Tuesdays and Thursday nights, we are also on the great OTR FM, the premium channel on OMTimes Radio. Please, by the way, check out the archive at omtimes.com/IOM for this week's Dr. Kevin show. Every Thursday, every first Thursday of every month on the Dr. Kevin Show, I and Dr. Kevin do our Thirst Quenching Thursdays, where we kick around well, whatever it is we feel like discussing. But this week it was pretty much all politics for the entire hour of the Dr. Kevin Show. So if you go to OMTimes.com/IOM, you can check out the archive of that show and listen to it on demand. And you can hear Dr. Kevin and I discussing politics and the current political landscape as it is. Also, of course, this week's television edition of Matt Connarton Unleashed is up. We had the great Vermin Supreme on. It was myself, John Hopwood, and Bonnie Wright, joined by Vermin Supreme. That was a lot of fun. Vermin Supreme also joined us for John Hopwood's show, Ward 13 with John Hopwood, which led into Matt Connarton Unleashed. And then Vermin Supreme was also on Mansterdam this week. So be sure to look for that all on the IPM Nation YouTube channel. So lots going on. It's been a big week, exciting week around here, and it's not quite over yet, of course. But look, this this Ted Cruz, this mini scandal. I mean, Ted Cruz, he did win the Iowa primary. I don't know how much this is going to drag him down, if at all. Although I'm sure that some of the other folks, like Marco Rubio, for example, hope that it kills his campaign off. But I don't think it's going to go much further than it already has. But it's an interesting little thing. Ted Cruz, of course, had sent out these mailers. His campaign had sent out these mailers in Iowa suggesting that Ben Carson was getting out of the race and that Ben Carson supporters should throw their support and energy behind Ted Cruz in the Iowa caucus. Well, this is from Breitbart.com. It says here, exclusive, new emails. Exclusive. There's voicemails that claim that Ben Carson is suspending his campaigning. Very often in a campaign, they'll do these robocalls where you have these automated voice messages from a campaign that, basically, vote for our candidate, etc. But it says here, new audio obtained exclusively by Breitbart News indicates that as the Iowa caucuses began on Monday night, the Senator Ted Cruz campaign called precinct captains, informing them that Dr. Ben Carson was suspending campaigning and instructing them to tell voters they should, quote, not waste a vote on Ben Carson and vote for Ted Cruz, unquote. The calls were placed after the Carson campaign. Oh, sorry. Let me scroll back up here. This website, Breitbart.com, by the way, if you've never been to it, it's one of those websites that has so much stuff crammed into one area that it can be difficult to scroll up and scroll down because it slows down your browser. There's just so much going on there. Let's see. Nancy Bleisman, a precinct captain for Cruz in Crawford County, Iowa, told Breitbart News that she received two voicemails, one at 7:07 p.m. Central Time and one at 7:29 p.m. on the night of the Iowa caucus, which began at 7 p.m. The first call came from a woman with a phone number out of Galveston, Texas at 7:07 p.m. And there's some audio here, so let's take a listen to this, if it'll play. Hopefully there's not an ad in front of it. That's not part of the call. That's Breitbart's thing. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's clip number one. Now, here's a transcript of what was said because it's hard to make out. The name is inaudible, but it's someone saying, I'm so-and-so from the Ted Cruz campaign calling to get to a precinct captain, and it has just been announced that Ben Carson is taking a leave of absence from the campaign trail. So it is very important that you tell any Ben Carson voters that for tonight, that they not waste a vote on Ben Carson and vote for Ted Cruz. He has taken a leave of absence from his campaign. All right? Thank you. Bye. That is what the voicemail said. Now, factually, if you go by exact words, see, this was pretty slick and slippery. Ben Carson, you know, it's that weird story that's been going around. He actually did take a break to, apparently he went home to Florida to get a change of clothes, refresh his wardrobe, I guess. So yeah, technically he was taking a very quick break from campaigning just to go home and get some clothes and then go back on the campaign trail. But the Ted Cruz campaign was making it sound like he was suspending his campaign. So go ahead, he's suspending his campaign. And then we have a second voicemail. It says here, the second voicemail was left at 7:29 p.m., so this was to the same individual, from an Iowa phone number that Breitbart News traced back to a Cruz campaign volunteer hotline. Let's play this one. Geez, I don't know if this one's even going to play. Hang on. It's not working when I click it. Yeah, the second clip isn't even. Yeah, it's giving me trouble. Breitbart website sucks. I'll tell you what it says according to the transcript. Hello, this is the Cruz campaign with breaking news. Dr. Ben Carson will be suspending campaigning following tonight's caucuses. Please inform any Carson caucus goers of this news and urge them to caucus for Ted Cruz instead. Thank you. Good night. Wow. So the second one just flat out lied and said that Ben Carson was going to be suspending his campaign, so just go ahead and throw your support behind Ted Cruz. That's much worse than slick and slippery. That's just outright dishonest. So shame on them. Let's see. So Bleasman, who was quoted earlier in the article, said, quote, my people voted without hearing the rumor that Carson would be suspending his campaign, unquote. Bleasman told Breitbart News, quote, Ben Carson did get his votes in our precinct because I didn't take the calls, unquote. Right, they went to voicemail. Bleasman's husband, who was also with her on Monday night, told Breitbart News that they were at the precinct labeled DCAB, which stands for the areas of Dow City, Arion, and Buck Grove. Let's see. Bleasman said there was a huge turnout, adding, quote, we had probably at least 100% increase from 4 years ago. Everyone knows the mainstream media says things, whether it's true or not. Check it out, unquote, she urged, saying she wishes the Carson campaign had been consulted before the report was spread. The revelation about Cruz's campaign calls and voicemails comes after an email surfaced from Cruz's deputy Iowa campaign director, Spence Rogers, sent at 6:56 p.m., 4 minutes before the caucuses began, suggesting that Carson would be, quote, taking time off from the campaign trail after Iowa and making a big announcement next week, unquote. The email told supporters, quote, please inform any caucus goers of this news and urge them to caucus for Ted Cruz, unquote. Cruz apologized to Carson on Tuesday, saying his team should have also forwarded a subsequent after Carson clarified that he would not be suspending his campaign. However, the Carson campaign had already clarified at 6:53 p.m. that he was not dropping out. Jason Osborne tweeted, at Real Ben Carson will be going to Florida to get fresh clothes before heading back out on the campaign trail, not standing down. Well, that's pretty clear. The original report by Chris Moody of CNN at 6:44 p.m. had reported explicitly that Carson was not suspending his campaign. Chris Moody tweeted, Carson won't go to NH/SC, but instead will head home to Florida for some R&R. He'll be in D.C. Thursday for the National Prayer Breakfast. Then he tweeted, Ben Carson's campaign tells me he plans to stay in the race beyond Iowa no matter what the results are tonight. Carson, who accepted Cruz's apology, held a press conference on Wednesday saying that he believes the messages sent out by the Cruz's campaign damaged his results in Iowa. Well, I'm sure they did. On Thursday, he sent a message attacking Cruz's campaign, saying that, quote, no attempts were made to verify the truth, unquote, about his departure, and that, quote, no actions have been taken to correct the problem, unquote. The Cruz campaign referenced a clarifying tweet by CNN's Chris Moody that was published at 7:30 p.m. Cruz campaign spokesperson Catherine Frazier told Breitbart News on Thursday via email this: the senator has already apologized for not more quickly making that clarification, and there is no evidence that our sharing of this news story impacted Carson's campaign. He well outperformed expectations. The voicemails are in line with the reports that were made at that time. Our campaign shared an accurate report that Carson was suspending campaigning after the caucuses. He went home and he went to D.C., and these voicemails do not suggest that he would completely drop out of the race. Lastly, it should surprise no one that Carson's initial announcement he was taking time off the trail would be a news story. It's highly unusual for candidates to take time off the trail between the first voting states. Okay, well, this campaign official, Catherine Frazier, and everyone associated with this, and Ted Cruz himself, are all full of shit. And if you're a Ted Cruz supporter, you should be ashamed and embarrassed, because the actions of Ted Cruz and his campaign, to me, suggest that he is a dishonest scumbag. So, I know that... I know that, conservatives really, really like the guy, but this is, there's no way, I'm sorry, but there's just no way to justify this or explain this away. This was clearly an intentional lie by the Cruz campaign. I mean, I'm no defender of Ben Carson, but what they did to him was pretty scummy. So that's it. We're out of time. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Friday night, we'll be back exclusively on IPM Nation 1 for our Friday night show. I'll talk at you all then. Good night, everybody.